How's it going, guys? I am here with my amazing friend and just killer in the business. We've known each other for a few years, but she's a rock star in what she does. The Literally the example of hard work. We've been talking since 7 o'clock in the morning, and now it's 8 o'clock, and we're doing the podcast here at 8 o'clock. Victoria Waldorf, so good to have you, my friend.
Hector, this is such a pleasure to be with you. You've been there with me since day one when I first got my license, and look at us now.
Yeah,
This is so
we've
cool.
Come a long way.
So
We've come a
cool.
long way.
So I'm happy to be here with you.
Likewise. Well, thank you for taking the time. I wanted to bring you on today's podcast just because we always have so much to talk about, so much to share with everyone, right? So one of the things that I do when I'm coaching someone or just talking to someone in general, they always ask, hey, what do you see other people doing that's working, right? And you've been such a great role model, not only in business, but how you conduct personal matters, family, everything. So, I just wanted to kind of pick your brain and see what we can get together here and share with, our audience today.
Okay. So for everybody out there, I'm Victoria Waldorf with Sync Brokerage. I'm proud to be at Sync Brokerage. It's a luxury boutique agency that my office is here in Studio City, so that's why we're here today meeting. And I've been an agent for 5 years, so I just hit my 5-year mark in February. And
it seems like you've been doing this for 10 years, 15 years. I swear.
I think it's a little bit of my life experiences and business background coming into real estate and some past lives that just kind of pull it all together, where real estate has just been the perfect meeting place.
Yeah, it's not everyone can get into the business as easy as you did. It's just, I remember from the day you started, just how easy you assimilated into the business, how just the flow of how you conduct business in real estate, as you see people door knocking, cold calling, everything you do, and you do it completely different, but yet you're just thriving. So that's just a prime example of how not every formula is the one you have to follow. You can have your own style, your own niche, and still do amazing in business. This is just for any type of business that you do, right?
Yeah.
Regardless if it's real estate or whatever.
Exactly.
So
I've learned that. I learned that in real estate. And at the beginning, I made cold calls. I did door knocking. And then I kind of realized where my niche was. And it was probably right around when COVID hit that I kicked up to where my niche is. And then with COVID, where we kind of, we weren't essential for a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden we became essential again, but we really couldn't go out. And all of my skills that I actually had used in life in general, of loving to write notes to people, of actually making phone calls. It's like now it's actually getting to what I really wanted to do, is actually reach out to people who I love and, adore, have had, raised my 4 kids, have been in touch with tons of people my whole life. And it finally gave me the opportunity to actually do my business, but also reach out to all those people I knew. And it all fit in a perfect, crazy storm for me to do what I love to do. And that's how my business kind of took off.
So let's take it back a notch, right? So one of the things that we always hear is because we're not born coming into real estate, right? Or it's not one of those things I want to be a doctor, astronaut. But what brought you to real estate, and what did you do before that's helping you with that skill set that you're utilizing today?
So I started off raising my 4 children. So I have 4 kids, 3 sons and my daughter.
Which are all super cool, by the way. I know them all. I think I know just 2 of them.
I think you met them all, actually.
Yeah, could be,
you have.
Now that I think, in little pieces, but different
scenarios.
Places,
So my 4 kids, that was my career. My career, raising them, I was stay-at-home mom. At the same time, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, and where I really spent some of my time was actually in nonprofits and doing a lot of volunteering work behind the scenes besides raising the kids, and raised over $1 million in different charities.
Amazing.
And I think that was my skill set, but I didn't realize that was going to take that into a business sense later on. So I did nonprofit. I did start my own company back in 2009. It was a headwear business called Gogi Girl, headwear design company.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
So I started that company back when I found a hat line that I wanted to design and created it. So I actually had developed that into a business where I had 14 reps around the United States and launched it into Canada as well. And the company's still going.
Learn something every day.
So that's my entrepreneurial side of starting something from scratch and learning how to do it. And I used to travel around the country, meet with my reps, and go to different country clubs and resorts and sell my product. And so from there, life took a shift. And I've always had a love of wine. And
which we're going to be presenting today.
We're doing a blind tasting with Hector today. Just I thought that would be fun. And so I actually, for a couple of years, when my kids were finished with school, I actually moved up to Central Coast and I lived in Los Alamos. And I actually was a tasting room manager at 2 different wineries.
So that's where the love for wine comes. Your love for wine. Yeah.
I do have a love for wine. I've always loved it. And I love the diversity of wine and how it's unique and every bottle is different and all the varietals. And I actually went back to school and took 4 courses, actually UC qualified courses in wine and grapes and regions and countries and all that. And then that's when I decided to move up to wine country for a couple of years. And actually
That's
just
amazing.
365 days, I want to see the full cycle of the grapes growing, the change over the season, how they ran the business.
Podcast with Gary Vee.
So
Gary Vee, that's how he started with a wine podcast. For all you guys that know Gary Vee, he started his podcast with wine.
So I had that passion, but I missed Los Angeles. I missed my friends. I missed my family. And I've always loved real estate. I've always loved design. I've always looked at the market. I've always watched the market. It really was probably just the timing for me to finally get my license and all the skill sets I've had from all the past lives. That's where it's totally fit into real estate. Naturally, organically, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, you had already experiences from different type of business ventures, so it just works. And in the context, right? That's why one of the first things we do when we get into real estate is your sphere of influence. That's the first thing you did. Yeah. And I mean, you thrived right from the beginning. So it just shows that you did right even prior to getting into real estate by having all those resources. I mean, you work pretty intense, pretty hard, but I think that did kind of give you that launch right off the bat.
Give me a good launch. I think work ethic is a big part of this. I am so driven and I love to serve people. So the fact that I get to help people doing something I love and help them with something that's one of the biggest decisions that they make in their life, whether they're selling or moving out of state, and how do we do this? Where do we start? And I think people have now been watching me to see what I've been doing, and there's a huge trust factor that they know that I can get them from A to B, no matter what the scenario is, and that I will be by their side till we're done. And I stay in touch with everybody afterwards because the experience is usually so cool to help them get through that. It's just amazing to be a part of such an amazing career. Very blessed.
Well, and now we are here today. So how are we going to start this?
So these are 2 wines. I'll talk a little for a second about this winery. This is called Pacello Winery. I born and raised Los Angeles. This is actually a local winery in Santa Clarita, but they source the grapes primarily from Paso Robles, which is big Central Coast, where they grow a lot of Rhone wines. Primarily, I'd say there's a lot of varietals grown there, but it's a nice, convenient location for people from Los Angeles. You can get there in 3 hours. Napa is 8 hours, so it's kind of a Santa Barbara County, just north of Paso's where the grapes come from here. But anyway, I thought I'd pick a couple of bottles, and I know Hector doesn't know much about wine, but you know what? There's some similarities in one of these between the 2. So anyway, I thought this would be kind of a fun way to teach you a little bit about something.
There's nothing like just chatting and having a drink. So I'm more of a mezcal type of guy, but I need to get more knowledge on wine because everyone's like, do you drink wine? I'm like, sure. Just give me red wine.
Right. Well, I did bring you 2 reds because at the end of a day like this, I might go home myself and have a glass of Sauvignon Blanc, which is one of my favorites. But, okay. So
Sweet.
Pour for you first.
Thank you. Can't get better than this, guys. Come on, seriously.
I know, right?
Joe Rogan does it with whiskey. We're doing with wine.
Okay. So that one is that, and I'm gonna open the next one. Okay. So tell me about the market right now, Hector. Tell me what's going on with the interest rate. Since I almost call you daily, say, help me. What's it at now? Since people are asking me, you're my go-to to ask what's it going on.
So I actually do mortgage on the side. No, I'm just playing. I'm actually a lender with Lending Hub. Everyone's like, are you a personal trainer? What do you do, influencer? I'm like, I wish. No, no, I do mortgage. My company is Lending Hub. But, obviously I have a love for social media and just sharing, I just so much content out there. And I always like to share that, back with the community. So right now the market on the lending side. So actually, we just had the Fed meeting last week, and what's interesting is that a lot of the talk was that for the first time, since the CPI reports have been positive over the last few reports, where the consumer price index, which is inflation, has been coming down. For the first time, the Fed decided not to bump the rates up again.
For the first time, for how long?
It's been now
forever.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's been a year and a half since they started raising rates, right?
Right.
Because the rates
Because
were
every
coming
meeting,
down.
there's been like a quarter or a half, and every
half.
time I call you, I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
what is it now?
So the Fed rate is completely separate from mortgage rates. So the Fed rate is more of like revolving debt when we're talking about credit card debt, car loans, all that kind of revolving debt, credit lines, HELOCs. That's where the Fed rate would be more implemented. But mortgage companies or mortgage-backed securities typically follow trend, right? If the market is going up, where just regular credit card debt is going up, then mortgage companies will naturally raise their rates as well. In this case, for the first time, because all the data that was projection, inflation was finally coming down, they were starting to taper it. The Fed said, well, we're not going to bump it. This time we're going to skip it. So they left it untouched. And we thought that that was going to have some type of positive impact on rates, because rates, we closed market last week at 6.99 on a 30-year fix.
Right.
We're down to like 6.8. It's a little drop. It's not significant, but again, it's positive news.
Yeah.
But I think all of that information that we were getting, since they spoke about that since the last Fed meeting, the market adjusted already. So now that it actually happened, I think everyone's just being precautious of the market, of what's going to happen. So I think that's why mortgage rates are still pretty steady in the high sixes.
Okay.
Still good though.
Still good. And so, whoever have a taste of wine, they'll tell you about what I've seen in the market in the last 3 days. How about that? So, smell. You're going to go, this is the same one as that. So,
Okay, so we're gonna
try
do
this one first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you smell it first and look at it. See if you see the color on it. It's kind of hard. We should have had a white paper, but here's a white paper over here. You kind of look around the color to see if it's on the color on the sides. And actually, what's kind of cool is if you can see both of these, can you see through one of them more than the other?
Kind of, yeah. This one's a little lighter. The one we're doing now, I find it's a little.
It
lighter.
is. Okay, so keep that as a clue, okay? That is a little bit lighter than the one that I did second on there. Okay, so. Okay.
That's good. Okay.
It is definitely, the second one's darker. So back to your point on the market. So I've had several listings this year. Almost every property I've had has had multiple offers after the first weekend.
You guys hear that? Multiple offers after the first weekend.
So people who are saying people
slow.
are not buying, or they're hesitant, or they're being cautious because the inventory is still so low. There is so many buyers out there. So I have a newest listing that just came on the market last Thursday in Burbank. Beautiful house built in 1940. 1141 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1-bath with a bonus room, 7,000 square foot lot. Gorgeous, intact. It's yesteryear with all of the modern parts of dual pane windows and all that. I had over 80 buyers come through this weekend alone.
Just in the first weekend, you had 80 buyers.
80 buyers. And I just came straight from the open house. I did another one from 4 to 6 p.m. today. And there was another 25 people that came through on a Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. So if people are thinking about selling and they're thinking there's nobody buying because they're hearing the news that people are kind of settled, there's so many buyers out there.
There's just not
and
enough
there's
houses.
not enough houses.
There's not enough houses.
So there's
correct.
enough that are willing to know that they can jump into this market, even if the rate is at 6.8 to 7, they're going to jump in because they're going to get a house. And they know if they hold on to that house for 3 or 5 years, if you saw anybody else who bought a house 3 or 5 years ago is so grateful they bought their house, got their foot in the door. It's the same with real estate, period. Real estate is always one of the biggest investments you can make. And these people who are just trusting, knowing that real estate is a great place to put their money, they're out there.
And we have to remember one thing. I can't remember which article it was. We'll have to look it up. But I heard that there was big institutions, which big money. These are national, from government institutions to private banks, buying out residential properties, single-family residents. So I was talking about this with one of my buddies today. If that happens, where you have institutions coming in and buying millions of single-family residents, it's because they believe that the real estate market is going to sustain. That's the only thing, rather than investing into crypto. And this is not financial advice for everyone, for anyone, but a lot of people put money in crypto, stocks, whatever stock market. But the fact that they're taking their money out from bonds and stocks and they're putting it into the real estate market, and they're not buying 2, 3 houses, they're buying thousands of properties per city, because they have, these are hedge funds, big corporations, institutions. So
it's
that
historical.
Just shows you,
It's historical.
It just shows you that they know that something, that's where the money is, pretty much.
But land is always there. You can't grow more land. It's always
Correct,
there, and it's historical. At the end of the day, people will always go back to real estate.
Yeah,
They know
I
that
agree.
it's a great place to put their investment, their money.
So that's, at the end of the day, I think that's where we're at, where, lack of inventory is the main problem that we have, especially here in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's always buyers.
Well, and people are always saying right now, especially in California, they're like, oh my gosh, everybody's leaving the state. They're not all leaving the state. There's a lot of people who are leaving the state. There's a lot of people who are coming into California for different reasons. I just met an executive that came in because of the studios. So there's a lot of reasons why California, we're still such an amazing place with our weather, our beaches, our mountains. There's so many positives that we have here. I'm third generation, so
you can snowboard up in 2 hours, or you can go to the beach in 30 minutes.
You can do it all in one day. You can do it in one day if you want to.
Yeah.
But I'm third generation Angelino, so it's just, for me, it is just so many selling points. And I understand people leaving, but there's plenty of people coming and staying, and generations who are having children who want to be here next to family and be here. So
tell me about the second option. So what is
okay,
this?
first one. Okay, first one. What'd you think?
I like it. Yeah, I like it. It's I like the smell. It's actually pretty good.
Okay, has a little bit of a what did you see on the end of it? You tasted it. Did you get any kind of? It doesn't have to be a certain. Just a feel on your tongue. That's what you're looking for on your palate.
Yeah. No, it definitely tastes good. I can't say I identify the taste, but it definitely tastes good.
Does it feel a little peppery on your palate at the end? Okay, that's kind of signature for what this kind of blend is. This is a blend.
Okay.
I will tell you then what this is. Okay, now let's go to the second one. So this one's darker, right?
Okay. Yeah.
On the color. This is one of the darkest, reddest wines you will find in the market. It actually has a good nose on it. It's softer smelling than that one, a little bit in a way.
Yeah, this one. I think this one smells a little softer than this one, right?
Oh, but at the end. Okay, so now feel this one was right on your tongue, peppery, and this one was the whole mouth.
Yeah.
Like your whole cheeks are probably puckering a little bit, right?
Yeah, I thought it was more like, is it stronger because of the alcohol, or is it
tannins?
What is it?
It's tannins.
Oh, okay.
So tannins from the skin of the grape.
Okay.
So this one is definitely has a lot more tannins. Didn't even look to see what years I was pulling. Oh, okay, this is a year younger, the second one. So anyway, that's tannins you're tasting. So the first one you're tasting, this is actually Rhone varietals. First one is actually Grenache.
Okay.
Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre. In the wine world, they call this a GSM.
Okay.
So this is actually called Rhone varietals. They're the three most common grapes that they blend together to make a blend of Rhone varietals. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
This is 100% Syrah.
Okay.
So this is one of the grapes that they would have blended to make this blend.
So this is more like of a pure.
It's a pure 100% varietal.
Got it,
So
okay.
this is 100% Syrah. So this one, actually the first one is great with all kinds of meals, spicy meals, because it has a little bit of a balance to it. Grenache is Grenache in Spain. It's one of the most produced varietals there is in the world. Syrah has a little bit more of it's a higher tannin. Grenache itself is more like can be more like a strawberry-ish. And then when you get to a Syrah, it's more blackberry.
Okay. Got it.
This is your steak. If you're going to have a big steak,
And
this is the
I
wine
think
you
that's
want
what
to
I
go
need
to, is
know,
Syrah.
Yeah, because when we
What to
go out
eat?
those steakhouses and everyone's ordering wine, I'm just like staring at the
Everybody
sky. I'm like,
orders cab often. But Syrah is such a good steak wine. Or if you have like a truffle mushrooms, something with mushrooms in it, that has a little bit of it. So it actually balances that. They both really go well with spicy foods, by the way.
Okay. Mexican food? We usually don't
Always.
We usually do Coronas with Mexican
Cerveza,
food.
yeah, your little tequila at the end there.
Or mezcal.
So anyway, this is Grenache. A lot of people, if this is too much of a single varietal, they will go to a GSM if they're having company. If somebody, if this to have something that would go common around the table. So, and this one right here, I was looking at the blend. This is 51, so it's 51% Grenache, 33% Syrah, 16% Mourvedre. And Mourvedre is often a blending grape that they use in wines. So sometimes they do it by itself, but obviously
They're
throw it
both
all
really
together.
good. To be honest, yeah, I like both tastes really, really good. I think I lean a little bit more towards the taste of this one, if I'm honest.
On the first one. The second one, so Syrah is it's a varietal that stays on the vine. It can handle a lot of heat. It's a thicker skin, which is where that tannin comes from, and so it can handle the heat. And it's just a bigger wine, so it's better actually if you were eating with it.
Okay, so
That's
maybe
why.
that's why, yeah.
If you
Because like
had
the
some meat
aftertaste,
right now,
yeah.
or it says, or a actually like if you have a cheese that has a lot of flavor, like a blue cheese or something with it, that helps balance with it. By itself, it's a big wine.
Okay,
So that's why. This would be
amazing.
more that you can just sit there and sip on. This one needs a little bit of food to go with it.
So today we're experimenting with two red wines, but soon we'll switch it up, and then we're gonna do a mezcal one, and I'm gonna teach you how to drink mezcal.
Oh, I know.
I don't know how we're gonna walk out of here with mezcal.
Nah.
So what would you share? Let's just talk in general, right? Someone's
Okay.
getting into the business. Because you get this question up, right? Like a lot of people come into business, hey, can I shadow you for a few
Yeah.
days or whatever? What's like the top three things you would recommend to someone coming into the real estate industry where they say they want to do business? What would you recommend to them?
Okay. I first would ask them if they really are serious. If they just kind of are serious about hard work and working hard, work ethic, willing to learn, be willing to listen, be willing to make mistakes and dust that off and get right back up into it, because this is a business where you're always learning. And also, I think somebody who thinks they want to do it part-time, this is not the career to do part-time. You can't do something else and say, I think I'm going to nibble in real estate. This is a full-time business, because part of it is clients will call me, and I will not say this is the best thing, especially for your personal life, but to build your business, just as if I always picture this like a storefront. Like I have a little store.
Yeah.
And if I had a store and my little sign at the front with a little count, the little clock that they put up there that says, oh, we're closed from 1 to 2, and you get there and like, shoot, I got to come back at 2. Well, if that little clock was off from 1 to 2, and all of a sudden they move the dial and it's off from 4 to 5, and then it's off from 7 till the next morning at 9, it's probably not a store I'm going to visit very often, because I know I can't get my foot in the door and I have to catch them when they're there. That to me would be like a part-time real estate agent.
Yeah, I see.
Full-time real estate agent to me is somebody who is available, is willing to put things aside to be there for their clients, and it is full-time. And full-time for me to build up my business as quickly, as ramped up as I've gone, has been really 12 to 15-hour days. And I've pretty much been doing this 7 days a week almost the way through. Now, I do have gotten figured out where I can finally take a trip here and there. I'm still working from my trips.
Yeah.
I'm never
and
far
I can
away.
attest to that. And that's one of the things that we talk about, right? So when people ask balance, I think that when you're starting in this business, like you said, there really is no balance. You have to work. Like this business will give you a lot of the benefits that people only dream of, right? But you have to work your ass off. There's just no other way. If you're looking to have 4-hour work weeks, this is not the business for you.
No.
It's just that's the reality.
And the reality is, I work almost every weekend.
Yeah.
I don't, when people say, "Oh, what are you doing this weekend?" I'm like, and they know,
Yeah.
I'm.
I mean,
pretty
I've been
much
trying
working.
to catch you for some just personal invitations for events that I do and something like that, and you're always running. But that's what it is, right? And that's where you see that that's how you convert. You're working nonstop.
And you get to the point where, on the business side, I plan on building a team, and then I can leverage my time. At the same time, I'm excited. I would love to have building my team with people who want to learn the same way and work as hard as I do, because that's what I would love to train on. Is that part of it?
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of facets of it. I mean, I do love marketing. I love houses themselves. I love the people side of it. So there's a lot to learn, and just be willing, like I said again, willing to learn, huge willing to listen.
Yeah, you have to be coachable, and especially when you're starting.
Big.
Yeah, because it's definitely not easy. Definitely not easy.
Yeah, which I think is similar in a lot of businesses, So it's definitely, you could be an introvert and an extrovert. I'm an extrovert, but introverts can do this too. Because it does fit for a lot of overall personalities. But you definitely have to be willing to go talk to strangers. You can't be a secret agent.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody says
nobody knows what you're doing, and then
people
you do this,
have to know what you're doing. And if you're afraid to tell people what you do, because in the day, people say, oh, I'm a realtor. Well, they would attribute it to other salespeople that they may have not high esteem for. I'm really proud, actually, to be a realtor.
Yeah.
It's a business where I feel so serving in what I do. And I love to be able to make a good name for being a realtor.
Like you said, you have to treat it as a business. A lot of the times
Yeah.
people just treat it like as a hobby, or like I'm just doing this part-time, or they see the $1 million listing TV show and then they think that they're going to start right off the bat doing something like that, which we know it's not the case.
Yeah.
So they don't understand the process and the hard work, you know, that'd be.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got started in mortgage, hi to Wally Delawari from Delaware Pacific, my buddy. I mean, he's a beast, right? So I remember when I got started, it was like 8 a.m. First one, I would be at the office sometimes 7:30, and I wouldn't leave to 8 o'clock at night. And I started as his assistant, and then from assistant, I was like doing assistant for the processor, and then I started doing back end stuff for processing, and that's how I learned, you know, because I had to learn the back end part, and then the sale part, like selling, talking to agents. That was the natural part for me. That was easy, but learning the mortgage part about it, the guidelines, make sure that and thank God up to now, almost 8 years in the industry, I've never, you know, dropped the loans, which is great, you know, but that's because I always do my due diligence before, and I make sure that I can take on, if I commit to a loan, I got to make sure that I can close it. So, but that was a hard work, you know, and a lot of people think that, oh, well, whatever, you can do whatever you want now. That's not the case.
Yeah.
And the people that are not in business, or the ones that are not going to survive, are the ones that have never been through difficult times, because they're not going to survive. They once things tighten up a little bit, they're going to run for the hills. So
if you go to be an armadillo and you want to crawl up in that shell, and because somebody said something to you, you're like, this is not your business.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a lot of clients out there, and some of the transactions I've done have been just easy peasy, and then some are complicated. And when it gets to the complicated ones, I've learned, you know, and this is through life, you don't take things personal. You know, you just do the best you can to be the best person you can be every day. You give your best, and at the end of the day, I know I can go to sleep, and I sleep well.
Even though in this business, sometimes we gotta put on such a nice face, but behind closed doors, we're just just slap someone.
That's why you go to the gym. That's why you go to the gym.
I think that's why we all go to the gym.
So.
I always say, guys, gym is my therapy for you guys know. And I post consistently, like, I work out because otherwise I'll end up killing someone by the end of the day if I'm not working out. No, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's part of what you do too. You not only do you find time to train, physically train, you still work and you do everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing to see what you've accomplished, and you know, and what you're doing. You're a prime example that, you know, you can get into the business, and as long as you put in the hard work, you can do well. So
yeah.
I've enjoyed having the wine with you.
Thank you. This has been great.
Yeah,
I have to bring you some different varieties, and we might have to try your side of it, but we have to make sure we can.
We'll have to do something with some mezcal, maybe switch it up a little bit. Just want to say thank you for your time.
You are
it's so good to share with you.
Welcome.
How do you want to close? Let's share something that you haven't shared with anyone yet, as far as the business. Give us a little story or something. What can you share with us?
I will say this. My dad is 86 years old.
Okay.
And so every day, I was calling my mom and dad. My mom is not at home anymore, but my dad's there to answer the phone. Call my dad every single day, usually around 6 o'clock. And first words out of his mouth, how was the day? Amazing. I think part of it is what keeps him going. He's so excited. He was an entrepreneur and a business person.
Must be proud to see everything you're doing.
And it's just like, he goes, okay, tell me what's going on. How was the real estate world? And it is just so nice to have him to answer the phone on the other end, and somebody that just believes in me and just says, you know what, just keep going, girl. Amazing. So people probably don't know that, but that's my daily call. Is to my father, and he came to Father's Day with me on
open house. Yeah,
open house.
I saw your video. Yeah,
greeted some people. He gets in the car and he goes, "Okay, put me to work." I'm like, "Here's a sign, Dad. I'm gonna put one on this corner. You can put one on that corner." He's like, "I'm in, girl." So anyway, that's, so cool. That's something that people probably see me post a little bit about my dad, but it is a phone call every day, and in this business, it's so nice to have family and friends who just say, I believe in you, just keep doing what you're doing. And we just appreciate. And so I do feel appreciated. And I'm so blessed to have that. So that's something people don't know. I do every day.
Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. It's always good to have an anchor, something grounding you back.
How about you?
I would say my kid. My
Yeah.
kid, yes. Something similar to that would be my kid. I love, she calls me throughout the day. Dad, like, she'll call me for the most random thing. And I just, sometimes, like, I can be in the middle of something important and I see her call and I want to drop everything I'm doing to answer her call. Obviously, sometimes I can't, but it's just so sweet that she wants to share every little victory. And for her, it could be, I learned something new today. She loves gymnastics. I did something new and I was able to land it. And she gets so proud just to see her eyes when she talks to dad. It's like, it's that moment. So I'm sure that's how your dad is looking at you even till today.
And I'm the same with my kids.
Yeah.
Treasure her age right now, because it goes like that.
Yeah.
So just treasure every moment and take those calls when you can.
As long as I can. As long as I can.
That's great.
Awesome.
Cheers, my friend.
Thank you so much for sharing.
You're so welcome.
We'll
Thanks
see you guys
for having
on the
me.
next one.
Take care, you guys.